So I'm going to start this off a little more lightheartedly than the previous talk. First of all, how many people here like chocolate? Very lighthearted. Okay, good. Another easy one. How many people here know what an aphrodisiac is? Okay, fewer, or maybe people were embarrassed, so I'll just tell you that an aphrodisiac is a substance that usually a food product, like chocolate, that enhances romantic desire. So I've given away the answer to my third question, which is how many people know that chocolate is an aphrodisiac? Great, okay, so. Now, why are we even talking about chocolate in a forum where we should be talking about creating our own paths? Well, I'll tell you why. Because oftentimes, the path that we see before us is actually lined with chocolate. These are easy treats, temptations, luscious scents that lift us into the state of wanting more, into a state of desire. Now, desire is actually not a bad thing at all. In fact, it's a very good thing. It provides motivation. And because this is a mature adolescent audience, I can say it enhances or produces drive, right? There are other things that actually also elicit these same emotions. So competition, for example, is one such thing. Competition, winning, people who we call super competitive, we also say have an insatiable desire to win. Guilt is another big motivator. Now, if you grew up, as I did, in a traditional Chinese family in the U.S., you might have some experience like I did with guilt. So, for example, you might have heard things like, Diana, why are you wasting your time? You need to be studying because we sacrificed everything for your future. Or, Diana, we sold the family home so you could get good grades and go to a good college. It costs money. So we'll call that a motivator for getting good grades in college. Academic achievement. So I should talk a little bit about being raised in a traditional Chinese household in the US. Now, I won't say that this applies to all Chinese households or to all households of immigrants in the US, or really, let's just frankly say, I think I've developed a theory that really doesn't apply to any cultural stripe, but actually applies to any family or household or parental situation where parents strive for achievement among their children. Now, it's a theory that I call a straight line to the future. And what is this straight line to the future? It actually involves 4 distinct phases that I won't go through in detail here, but you've heard the characteristics and the expectations of these phases perhaps in other things that you've read or other things that you've heard, and they go something like this. Study hard, get good grades, get into a great college, preferably Harvard, which, by the way, I did, and so I have some justification for what I'm saying. Oh, and by the way, when you're in college, preferably an elite Ivy League university, also get good grades, major in something practical, and if you major in something practical, then get a good job afterward. And if you happen to be really, really, really good at majoring in something practical, then get a PhD, and that's really great. So there's all this climbing the ladder of success. Now, I should also say that you're probably much too young to know what all of this achievement is for. What is the straight line to the future actually heading toward? Well, I'll tell you, it's not as fancy or as highfalutin as you might think it is, like being president or being, something Albert Einstein-like. It's actually to produce offspring. And in fact, all of this toil from before is the opportunity to meet a very fine mate. So in fact, you went to a good college not because you were super smart, so you could meet super smart people who would produce eligible partners. You got a really great job because in fact you could meet lots of people who could support your family. So that's what this is all for. And the straight line to the future starts and ends with one very simple concept, which is that the generation will always do better than the generation before. So your offspring, the fulfillment of your destiny and your achievement goals, is actually to produce a very high-quality gene pool that will do better than you. Now, now, this was something that was very emphasized in our family because, and here I didn't tell you this very key fact, that I am a descendant of the Yin dynasty. So if you haven't heard about the Yin dynasty, it is actually, well, you can Google it. How about that? You can Google it, you can look it up. It's actually at the very tail end of the Song dynasty. And as you know, that was the first recorded dynasty in Chinese history. So for those of you who thought that the guilt that drove me to do well in school was actually glib and not quite the right answer, you were right, in fact. It is, in fact, the Yin dynasty and the burden of that and 5,000 years of Chinese history that actually motivated my academic achievement. So there are a lot of reasons why people want to achieve. And in fact, for me, achievement, going for some sort of achievement around academics or getting good grades, little by little, award by award, was a way to actually prove my worth against the family legacy. So, and that's in fact how the achievement mindset works, right? You see an achievement that you can pursue, and in fact, you pursue it. Now, for me, it was academic achievement, but for others, it could be something else. And little by little, award by award, being the star of every show, getting the lead role in every play, these are all achievements, and they give you that sense that you want more. So this level of achievement is, in fact, as intoxicating as that insatiable desire to win. So let me deviate from this path for a moment, because we're allowed to, and tell you about a story. Tell you a story about a boy I know. He's 15. He is incredibly gifted at soccer. He plays soccer every day. He's always bouncing a ball on his knee. He's always like doing crazy tricks. And actually, if he's sick or he can't play in a game that day, his coach, in a very unsportsperson-like manner, actually considers canceling the game. That's how good he is. So he's probably going to get a professional soccer contract in a few years' time. Before you think that this boy is insanely lucky, because who doesn't want to be a professional soccer player, or you think that I've watched a lot of TV dramas, and as a result, I am giving you this punchline that, in fact, he hates soccer, and his parents force him to play. That's actually not true. I'm going to tell you another fact about him that might make you think he's not the luckiest kid in the world. He has epilepsy. And the epilepsy causes about 100 seizures per day. You wouldn't notice them. They last 5, 15 seconds. But his mother certainly notices them. And over time, I was taught to notice them as well. And he just flickers and he's gone for a few moments. Now, he's on medication that actually treats the seizures or controls the seizures, but it causes other side effects. And those side effects include things like a lack of attention, so he can't focus in class. He loses or has lapses in concentration. He's completely hyperactive. So there are a lot of teachers in the audience. Do you think this kid is easy to teach? Probably not so easy to teach. Do you think he's getting good grades? Not quite good grades. In fact, I think this is one of the concerns. Do you take him off the tree? Anyway, so instead of this kid getting sunken into himself, into this mode of, oh, I'm that weird epileptic kid, right? Because of the poor behavior in class that he exhibits. Not his fault, the side effects of the drugs. The fact that he can't answer any questions when the teacher calls on him, right? I mean, these are all characteristics of this kid that actually could make him bullied, in fact, or a target of teasing. But instead of shrinking into himself, he actually has chosen a very positive perception of himself, because in fact, he loves soccer. He loves playing soccer, and that passion drives him to practice incessantly and practice And it's not just practice that makes him perfect. Right, there's an expression, perfect practice makes you perfect. And that's what he does, and that's why he's the best. So the kid who chases achievement for achievement's sake is actually missing the point, right? The kid who chases achievement for achievement's sake is missing the point because chasing those achievements is actually like a path of chocolate, right? Chasing achievement for achievement's sake is actually letting external rewards or accolades or things that are told to you are good things, like good grades, straight A's, lead roles in plays, being the star of a soccer team, letting external rewards define you. But where is the love of the sport? Where is the enjoyment of pursuing the thing that you're actually wanting to achieve? Where is the passion in all of the pursuits? So I can tell you because I chased achievement for achievement's sake, right? So I'm standing here and I'm just admitting that, I suppose, to you. And what has it left me with? So, well, I have a wall of fancy degrees. You know, in addition to Harvard, I went to two other, I suppose, good institutions or of that caliber, and all of that is actually not regrettable. In fact, I don't regret a moment of it because I have a lot of things now that give people shortcuts to say, "Oh, Diana's really smart," and that's actually not a bad thing for people to believe that you're intellectually capable. So it opens a lot of doors. So it's actually quite good in many ways. But what it did leave me with was the sense that at the age of 35, I felt that I was finally living my own path, which was to quit my job and become a writer. There are several problems with that choice. First, writing doesn't pay anything, and I was actually at an immensely high salaried job. And that doesn't really mean anything to those people who aren't at the point of working in these jobs yet, but I will tell you that people who are on the straight line to the future, who are told to do all these right things, do not leave high salary jobs to be writers. So highly irresponsible, especially when you have a child on the way, a mortgage, etc. But it was in fact the right path for me, because only through the process of writing and actually the disciplined observation of people and events in the world, which is writing, did I actually come upon and create my current path, which is to create a business that at its core helps people pursue their professional passions. So not just their professions, but their professional passions. So because we're at an international school, I can do things like show things on a big slide and ask people questions about them. So what does this character, what is this character? Okay, a lot of people know, just shout it out. Faye, very good. Okay, next slide. What's this one? Faye again. Okay, so the difference between the first Faye and the second Faye, does anybody know? Everybody's been well taught here at WISS. So, the first one is a simplified character of Faye. That's right. The second one, this one here, is the traditional character of Faye, and Faye means to fly. So, I won't presume that everybody knows this, but the Chinese authorities many decades ago, and over many decades, underwent a process of simplification of the language in order to boost literacy. So they removed many strokes, made the characters much easier for people to remember. And there are so many characters to remember that this actually did boost literacy. In this form, and you know, my cousin, who actually is a very prominent Chinese calligrapher, always tells me that in this form, you can see the true meaning of the character Faye. And I don't know if anybody can see, but the inside and the outside, right, the outside is what remains of the simplified character. And when you view it in its traditional form, it actually means to soar. So not only to fly, but to soar. Now, this one is the character that was removed. Okay, what's this character? So, right, sung, right? And what does that mean? Well, I'm not even sure I heard it. What was it? To hoist, yes, to hoist, to lift or to uplift. That is the inside of Faye, or as my son at the time, who was 4 years old, said, oh, so they took out the insides and just left the wings? And that's what it looks like. They took out the insides and just left the wings. And that's exactly what simplification did. It took out the inside and left the outside. And why would we do that to anything? And more specifically, why would we do that to anyone? Or why would anyone do that to him or herself? To take out the insides and only leave the wings. Now, I'm not suggesting, especially since we're at an institution of learning, that we should not have wings. In fact, again, like I said, the wings are very important, and especially important for me, and for all of you, because the wings are the technical things, the practical things, right? The things that we actually have to learn in order to do the things that we should be doing or we want to do. For sure we need the technical. For sure we need to get good grades. For sure we need to do all the things to prove that we've gained knowledge and can adequately, reliably, and effectively apply that knowledge whenever it's required. But an overemphasis of the practical leads us to this path lined with chocolate, to the easy treats, the easy accomplishments, without the reflection of where that passion is within, right? So the next slide creates this little equation. Understanding your passion, understanding the inside and the outside, in fact, is what will create your own path. Combining the practical and the passion is what Faye is all about, right? We appreciate the fact that we need all parts of Faye in order to soar. The achievements that spring forth from your own imaginations will be far greater than anyone else can imagine for you. Thank you.